Hi, I'm Rachel Senes, and this is Inside Santa Barbara, the news magazine that takes you inside the city. Today we are coming to you from downtown State Street, where the farmers market is taking place. The market offers a variety of produce and reminds us that we live amidst some of the richest agriculture anywhere. We'll tell you more about the farmers market in just a few moments, but right now we want to take you to Upper State Street. In our top story, we'll show you how a significant study is underway to address the challenges that are found in one of the most bustling areas of Santa Barbara. Whether it's shopping at Trader Joe's or picking up coffee at Pete's, if you've traveled to Upper State Street, you've probably faced some challenges, like finding a convenient place to park or being delayed by traffic. Upper State Street is one of the city's main transportation and commercial corridors. It is lined with office buildings, banks, motels, retail shops, restaurants, and shopping centers. In sharp contrast to Lower State Street with its downtown gridwork of streets, Upper State is the only arterial in the area running east to west. The corridor is also an important connection to adjacent neighborhoods. Ask anyone about Upper State Street and they will likely tell you that it has a lot going on.
Upper State Street is completely unique from any other place in Santa Barbara. It's not like downtown. It's not like the Milpa Street corridor. It's completely different from the Mesa. It has its own character, but I don't think that anyone can say that it's really come into its own yet.
But the city would like to change that. In April, the City Council asked staff to work with the public, boards and commissions, and a team of consultants to prepare an Upper State Street study. The study area encompasses commercially zoned parcels along Upper State Street from Calle Lorales to Highway 101.
There's a lot of different projects that are coming through the planning pipe right now that are really causing us to want to take a more comprehensive view of what's going to happen in the future here on Upper State Street.
And that's what the Upper State Street study gives us the opportunity to do, is to step back a little bit and envision the future of Upper State Street, and then as we review projects, consider them within that concept of what our vision is for the area.
It's innovative, and it shows that our council are very creative people, and they realize, let's talk about this first, and then we slide into our general plan because the pressures were here.
In that general plan are the policies that guide development and encourage residential, mixed use, which is commercial combined with residential, bus transit, and bicycle use.
So this, in a way, is kind of the start of the general plan conversation by focusing on Upper State Street first and then going community-wide afterwards.
Over the last 40 years, the area has been annexed from the county. Because of this, there is no one consistent development pattern along the corridor. In 1979, the City Council adopted the Special District or Overlay Zone, better known as SD2, to address deteriorating traffic conditions as well as the rapid rate of development in the area. The Overlay Zone sets special development standards including setbacks, height limits, parking standards, and restrictions. Today, most of the buildings in the western part of the Upper State Street area meet the SD2 setback requirements. In 1992, Upper State Street design guidelines were adopted to work within development standards, but these guidelines have not been updated or expanded to keep up with the changing face of Upper State Street.
As it turns out, the development patterns are very different in three sections of the corridor, and perhaps development standards should better reflect the character of each one of these, what we call the sub areas.
There are three sub-areas, west, central, and east. The western sub-area is from Highway 101 to San Roque Creek. This sub-area has two shopping centers, Five Points and La Cumbre Plaza, as well as larger developments. The central sub-area is from San Roque Creek to Las Positas Road. It includes the smaller strip plazas as well as Loreto Plaza. The east sub-area is the area from Las Positas to Calle Lorales. It has Mackenzie Park and the businesses surrounding it.
The focus of the study is on the commercial corridor, but you can't have that conversation without thinking about how it relates to the neighborhoods and how does the traffic patterns happen in the surrounding area.
The Upper State Street study includes looking at urban design. Urban design is how big a building appears from the street and how well it fits with adjacent buildings. It describes how the buildings, sidewalks, roads, and parking work together or don't work together. Upper State Street has a mix of 1 to 3 story buildings, and they all vary in mass, bulk, and scale. The variation of size along the corridor affects how each building appears to drivers and pedestrians. There's also variation along the corridor when it comes to streetscape.
And that really is that area between one building face and the other one right across the street from it. And it includes everything in between those two building faces, the roadway, the median, the sidewalks, and then if there's any setback area between the buildings where it's landscaped or parking.
Some of the best views are at street intersections. Building setbacks, parking lots, and driveways all provide opportunities for mountain views. The question is, how will future development affect those views? There's also the issue of the pedestrian experience. Upper State Street is not necessarily pedestrian friendly. Sidewalks are obstructed or narrow like this one at State and Plaza Avenue.
There's a lot of potential here for development. And so the number one issue I think that most people would be concerned about is traffic. You know, how do we deal with the traffic in the area, especially with new development coming on?
I see it being a vision where you have the automobile traffic and you have the pedestrian traffic really working in a synchronicity, that it is not just all about cars.
Today, traffic conditions in most of the study area remain better than congestion standards. Some of the traffic congestion that most people do experience is largely due to numerous driveways, bus stops, and frequent spacing of traffic signals and intersections. According to city staff, these types of congestion problems can be addressed without major modifications. In all, when it comes to Upper State Street, there are myriad choices. The community's passion for these issues has sparked the dialogue necessary to create a shared vision for the area.
More available for pedestrians, bikes, concerns with sidewalks and setback zones, and things from newspaper stands to trees. And
I'd like to see more stores, houses, a police station, movie theaters, churches, parks, underground parking so that people get out and walk around the top.
I really am looking forward to the results, and I would hope there'd be a recognition of the great things SD2's done over the past 27 years.
I think that some people may say we should create a more village atmosphere that's much more pedestrian friendly. Others may feel that, you know what, it really is an auto-oriented street and we should design it to fit well within that concept. Those are kind of two different visions in future, and I think that's something we're really interested in hearing from the public about and from the Planning Commission and City Council about which way do you go with this street, or can you do a little bit of both at the same time?
Mixed-use design is certainly the trend that we're seeing. The four large projects that are now pending are all mixed-use, mixed residential commercial uses. Similar to the downtown, this is really where the market is residential uses. Part of the concern of the community is, well, what types of residential uses are we going to see?
I think that in the long run, there's going to be an opportunity for all of us to learn from this process and accommodate it and take the best of what we're learning and put it into these structures, put it into our planning, because it's going to be an opportunity to see that whole area come alive.
Could the future be brighter for this area? Could it be a more human place? These are big issues, and they're ones that you can't do it in a planning vacuum. You need the public to participate.
To learn more about or comment on the Upper State Street study, log on to the city's website at santabarbaraca.gov. Click on Major Planning Efforts and then click on Upper State Street Study. Well, what we know today as Upper State Street was once Hollister Avenue. The area was mainly dairy ranches and not yet part of the city. In the late 1950s, the area began to be annexed and the first major shopping centers were developed. Today, Upper State Street is one of the city's main transportation corridors. In our History 101 segment, we take a look back at the history of State Street.
In 1850, 4 months prior to California's admission to the Union, Santa Barbara's government changed from Mexican ayuntamiento or town council rule to an American-style common council. One of their first tasks was to lay out a grid of streets. The surveyor chosen for the job, Sea Captain Salisbury Haley, was charged with plotting 2 80-foot-wide intersecting principal streets. These streets were later named State to honor California's statehood, and Carrillo after a prominent Spanish family. Captain Haley began his survey by hammering an iron stake to designate the future Midtown at State and Carrillo. From that point, his survey went awry, and the reasons why vary depending on who you ask. Some say block lengths varied because he mended his measuring chain with rawhide thongs, which expanded or contracted with the humidity. Others hypothesize that the wood stakes he used were stolen for firewood by residents. Still others say Haley's surveying shortcomings related to his fondness for the bottle. While the streets Haley laid out looked good on paper, reality was a different story. Many buildings, including the Presidio, found themselves squarely in the path of future streets, requiring them to be at least partly demolished. Today, deviations from straight streets like here on De la Guerra serve as a testament of the owners who refused to vacate. The Americanization of downtown accelerated during the 1860s with the addition of livery stables, hardware and dry goods stores, meat markets and saloons, mostly north of Ortega Street. More than half of the first State Street businesses were saloons. The 1870s marked a period of modernization with poles and wires dotting and crisscrossing State Street to create lines of communication with other cities. State Street was lit up for the first time on the night of February 21, 1872 by the Santa Barbara Gas Company. Before then, the city obligated property owners to provide their own illumination.
All the businesses and homes in Santa Barbara's downtown core had to put up a lantern with a candle in it every night to light up the streets until 10 o'clock at night. For those who didn't follow this ordinance, they could be fined anywhere from 10 cents up to $10, which of course in 1852 was a lot of money.
Tourists rode on horse or mule-drawn streetcars along State Street from the luxury Hotel the Arlington all the way to Stearns Wharf. This transportation system was updated 20 years later with electric trolleys. On June 29, 1925, something happened that would forever change the face of State Street. A 6.3 magnitude earthquake struck Santa Barbara, killing 13 people and causing an estimated $15 million of property damage along State Street. So much wreckage and debris littered the street, it didn't reopen to traffic until the following January. After the earthquake, Pearl Chase and civic leaders saw the quake as an opportunity to establish Spanish colonial revival as the architectural style of the city. To accomplish this, the city offered free architectural plans to any owner willing to rebuild in this style. During the Depression and World War II, the city of 34,000 struggled. A sign of the times was the demise of a city icon, Deal's Grocery.
Here they had a delicatessen, a soda fountain, a candy maker. It was really a fancy place. The Depression really kind of killed off Deal's. The store had allowed a lot of people to build up an awful lot of credit, and when the Depression came along, a lot of people had to default on their bills.
After World War II, growth returned to the city and State Street. This prosperity was visible with the installation of the first stop-and-go traffic lights at 3 State Street intersections in November of 1947. 1967 brought more business to Upper State Street with the development of the $20 million La Cumbre Plaza shopping center. To counteract the shift of dollars away from Lower State Street, merchants there formed the Downtown Organization in 1966. The organization assessed themselves to fund the creation of a downtown plaza and pedestrian mall on State Street between Ortega and Victoria. Parking was prohibited along that 6-block span of State Street, which led to the establishment of municipal parking garages and open lots that were free to the public. Today, State Street continues to evolve as it has for over 150 years. Sidewalks and landscaping have recently been redone, and art dots prominent corners for the public to enjoy. Appropriately, this heart of the city provides the setting for the community's favorite festivals, and some of the old buildings still remain, providing a chance for locals and visitors alike to appreciate the rich history of this stately street.
With its brick-lined sidewalks and outdoor paseos, today a simple walk down State Street is a reminder of its rich history. While a whole new housing project, the largest of its kind in Santa Barbara, is nearing completion. Zelina Michaels takes us on a tour of the St. Vincent's Affordable Housing Project.
With the mountains as a beautiful backdrop, 170 rental apartment units are in the midst of being constructed. The units, 75 designed for low-income families and 95 for seniors, will be opening their doors in a few short months.
I think we're looking at the family project being done for partial occupancy in January, and the senior project, I think, probably a number of months after that.
The St. Vincent's housing development is located at the edge of the city, near the intersection of Highway 154 and Calle Real. Locals might remember the open fields and gate as they drove by on the 101 freeway. The property was originally built as a school and orphanage in the late 1800s.
In 1935, we switched over to working with the developmentally disabled, and we served that population for over 60 years.
Now, those 19.5 acres are being developed into a new housing community, a place that includes gardens and play areas, a recreation center, and a food bank where parents can get food, clothes, and books for their children.
It's very quiet and peaceful. It'll be a nice haven for them. We also have an indoor swimming pool with a jacuzzi. We have some fruit trees. With the seniors, we're hoping to do some intergenerational activities with the children in the Casa Alegria Children's Center and in our MOMS program.
The project first began to take shape nearly 10 years ago as a collaborative effort with the Daughters of Charity, who oversee St. Vincent's, and the city of Santa Barbara.
In 1997, we did a feasibility study, and major needs were a children's center, particularly for infants, and housing for seniors and families.
The site will remain owned by the St. Vincent's Institution and will be leased to Mercy Housing. The total cost is estimated at $50 million. The redevelopment agency invested $18 million, and the County of Santa Barbara put in $4.5 million.
This project got approved at the Planning Commission essentially without opposition, and that seldom happens. And here it is, a very large affordable housing project, but done so well and buoyed by so much community support behind it that it was an easy accomplishment at the end.
For the city, the project is a unique merger of affordable housing units that will benefit both the elderly and low-income families.
It's huge to our program to see this project go on the ground. We I think, have had a lot of success over the years, and a remarkable commitment from the City Council and the Redevelopment Agency to develop affordable housing.
We're inside one of the newly constructed units. This one is a single family. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with about 1,200 square feet. And as you can see, it's got all new amenities, brand new wood cabinets, a stainless steel sink, and each unit is going to have its own patio.
When people come through and look at it and say, oh yeah, I want to live there, this is really nice. And I think it will be very nice. I think it'll be a nice haven for many families.
If you're interested in learning more about the St. Vincent's Project, call 683-0022. Well, here at the Farmers Market, people can sample produce from local farms. In fact, many restaurants come here for their fresh produce. Christy Zwicky takes us to the annual Harvest Festival, where people tasted the best food downtown restaurants have to offer.
Every year, our local produce changes with the seasons, and Santa Barbara is lucky enough to have farmers markets to display that colorful bounty each week. Surrounded by rich agricultural land, Santa Barbara County is home to dozens of growers and producers that offer their homegrown specialties at one of the 8 certified farmers markets around town, and it can be a source of inspiration for many of our local chefs.
On Tuesdays, I come down here specifically to pick up my organic eggs and just odds and ends, seeing what's in season. Today I got some figs. The fig season's been incredible this year, so I'm going to make a fig chutney for my trout for tonight.
You get so much fresher product from the farmer's market. I mean, they pick it that day and bring it to the market. It's really fresh. We use it that day. It's just much better than store-bought or, for us, purveyor-bought.
This peach may be perfectly delicious by itself, but if you come to the Harvest Festival, you'll see how dozens of Santa Barbara's local chefs can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary.
Tonight what we have is a shrimp stuffed with goat cheese and sage, wrapped in bacon, with roasted peaches and spinach and a little bit of cucumbers and red onion, all from the farmer's market except for the shrimp.
Held in late September, the Old Town Harvest Festival is a collaboration between the downtown organization, the farmer's market, and 20 downtown restaurants.
We've got about 2 cases of cucumbers, a case of green onions, and about 80 pounds of beans here, green beans. We give out a seasonal produce availability sheet to all the restaurants, and they come back with their recipes based around the local harvest.
We've got 12 different venues this year that we're using. Half of them are restaurants, half of them are retailers slash hotels slash art galleries. If there isn't an art gallery, we have a musician playing there, either a jazz band or a harpist.
Over 450 festival goers took an informal tour of Old Town while sampling tasty appetizers and wines. It's a fun night out that raises money for the Downtown Children's Holiday Parade.
People get to go around town, see the local area, and have a lot of fun, dancing afterwards. It's just a great night for locals to spend.
The Harvest Festival lets hundreds of Santa Barbara residents try new wines, socialize with friends, and sample some of Santa Barbara's finest cuisine, like this eggplant cannelloni from Pierre Lafond.
Our first dish is a crab and asparagus fritter with tarragon, passion fruit, aioli.
Of all the food that I sampled that night, my favorite was the gazpacho from Sojourner.
Gazpacho made from heirloom tomatoes, beets, carrots, onions, celery, parsley.
And a special beverage prepared by the Santa Barbara Brewing Company.
The honey harvest has actually got sage, lavender, and then 15 gallons of honey that was donated just for this festival.
Recipes from the Harvest Festival will be available at Santa Barbara's Farmers Market for the next few weeks. It's one more reason why you should go downtown and shop local.
I think Santa Barbara is really waking up to the food scene here and the market and what's available, and I think restaurants are responding to that also. You know, it kind of goes hand in hand.
It really connects the local community to the local resources that are here in the area. It just ties the whole entire community together, and it really gives an appreciation for our local produce.
For more information on the farmers markets, visit sbfarmersmarket.org. Well, as you can see, festivities like the farmers market attract many people to downtown. But another Santa Barbara staple is its picturesque oceanfront. In our next story, we take you to Arroyo Burro Beach, where volunteers help to keep it clean.
One of Santa Barbara's best features is the picturesque coastline that stretches along the Pacific Ocean. Unfortunately, those beaches often collect trash and recyclable items that can pollute our environment. Last September, over 400 volunteers from Santa Barbara participated in the 7th Annual Coastal Cleanup Day, an event that takes place throughout California and on a national level.
Our Tomo house is over here at the Watershed Resource Center, and so we felt a strong stewardship of this particular area. One of the things that we like to do is do things that express our stewardship of the maritime realm in general, and so cleaning up the beach is kind of an obvious thing to do.
The volunteers picked up 750 pounds of recyclables and over 1 ton of trash, ranging from lobster traps to vacuum cleaners. In addition to picking up litter, the event also promotes community pride by allowing people to take responsibility for their local waterways.
Well, it's a good thing to do for the beach. It's a good thing for kids to realize, I think, and adults, that, you don't litter.
Coastal Cleanup Day proves that individual actions can make a difference, and the results will inspire future generations to protect our planet.
Why is it important to clean up the beach?
Absolutely. Because we don't want Mother Earth to be trashed all over her.
Very good.
To learn more about how you can help clean up our coast, log on to our website, citytv18.com. In 1872, Jose Libero built Southern California's first opera house at Canon Perdido and Anacapa Streets. Today, the Libero Theater continues its tradition of world-class performances. Brooke Hawkins takes us to the Peony Pavilion.
Dating back to China's Ming Dynasty, the Peony Pavilion is the 400-year-old masterpiece of Tang Jiangzu, who many Chinese regard as their William Shakespeare.
It has been a classic in Chinese operatic tradition, as well as a literary canon of Chinese literature. It's very popular. It's a beautiful, beautiful display.
The Peony Pavilion exemplifies Chinese Kun opera, an art form combining literature, music, dance, and drama.
I think it's good for the Santa Barbara people have this opportunity to know this great production.
The landmark production is the realization of a lifelong dream of writer-producer Kenneth Bai.
Now, I've been a resident of Santa Barbara for 41 years, so it's very, the homecoming is so important for me.
Bai is a world-renowned literary scholar and a former professor at UCSB. His goal with this production was to introduce Kun opera to a new generation.
This is a kind of a passed down generation, so we want that this Kun performance art kind of lost the generation. We want to continue.
Considered the Romeo and Juliet of Chinese literature, Peony Pavilion is thought to be the most beautiful love story of Chinese literature.
This is a love story. It's quite brave. That the American audience also very surprised. In 600 years ago, Chinese already dare to do this kind of loving expression.
This performance of Peony Pavilion is important because it offers a rare opportunity for cultural exchange between China and the United States.
This is a historical, and this is going to be in the document, in the both sides of the Chinese and the American side.
It took the efforts of many people to have the Peony Pavilion come to Santa Barbara, which is the only city to sponsor the opera. This production of Peony Pavilion was adapted by Professor Bai and has been edited into a 9-hour performance that spans 3 nights. It is the most faithful reconstruction of the original to date. Kun opera is traditionally performed without scenery, so the production relies on the more than 24 actors, dancers, and singers, and the 200 handmade exquisite costumes to portray the story of the triumph of love. Dance is an integral part of the performance, with the performers wearing long white sleeves that amplify their movement.
Kun opera is the mother of the whole Chinese, all the Chinese opera. So it's a very strict, and they are all the movement, the little gesture, expression, and the stage and the footing, all have the certain way. So the training is very difficult.
All 3 performances of the Peony Pavilion at the Libero Theater were sold out. Professor Bai also reached his goal of attracting a younger audience, with 500 students attending the opera. This version of Peony Pavilion was premiered in Taipei, Taiwan in April 2004 and has performed in Hong Kong and throughout Taiwan and China.
To learn more about what's playing at the Libero Theater, go to libero.com. Well, that does it for this month's episode of Inside Santa Barbara. If you have any questions or comments, give us a call at City TV at 564-5311 or visit our website at citytv18.com. I'm your host, Rachel Asenis, and remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara.